And welcome to another tutorial by me, Ali, from Ali Stitch Fingers. Right, if you were watching Ochanda yesterday, which was the 31st of July 2020, I am owing my sewing people a few tutorials. So this is the second one that I'm filming today, and it is very hot, so if there's any noise I apologise, but I've got my door wide open. I'm also filming on my own, and as you people may know, I am not good at technology, so I'm going to do it. I don't edit my videos. I just hope that you find it a help. There's nothing professional about it. It's just to basically help you along with your tutorials. So if you've bought my projects, thank you very much, and I hope this helps. So this one is a new one, and it's what I took on a Chanda yesterday. As I said, this is the Retreat notebook cover. Now I've called it a retreat notebook cover because I think it's ideal for retreats, and I do love going on retreats myself when we're allowed again. But basically this one, I thought, rather than taking a handbag and a bag for your notebook and blah blah blah, everything that you need to take, you could just take this, and you've got a zip pocket, so if you needed to take any extra equipment or cash, you've got a zip pocket there. It's quite a deep one, so you can get quite a bit in there. It's also a chunky zip, so it's going to last. It's not going to be one that goes. We've got magnetic clasps here. I'll put it right way up. Got magnetic clasps here for to close it all up. But on this side, we've got a slip pocket there for notes, or actually written notes. We've also got card slots here, so you could put your hotel key card or credit cards or whatever you want to put in there. You've got a pen holder here. This opens up, and then inside here we've got a little slip pocket that you can put in your notebook. So obviously once you've used these notebooks, you can change them, or you could change it for a different notebook for a different occasion. So how do we make it? That's what we're going to do today. Also, as people may know, when I've done a project and you've bought it and made it in the fabrics that it came in, I'm also happy for you to make and sell as gifts or to sell for profit. So this is one I'm making for my granddaughter Abigail, and she's into Harry Potter, so I'll show you it made up in other fabrics. You could also make it up in faux leather, or tartan, or plain fabrics, or a comic fabric for a man. So there's lots of scope for different projects for this, sorry, different uses for this. Right, so first of all, we've got the chunky zip, and I'm going to start by putting the pen holder in. Obviously, if you've got a certain pen that you're thinking for this project, you can do this as wide or as narrow as you're wanting. So I'm going to put this about 3 inches down onto the part. Now all the parts, I've started doing them in alphabetical order. I haven't got a pattern with me, so I'm just going to call them what they are. You will know what these are. This is the inner lining, so I'm going to put it on about 3 inches down on the inner lining. I'm just going to stitch that in place. You could just clip it if you wanted to, but I am just going to stitch it in place. And I'm going to do it for a medium-sized pen. So I'll just back that in place, because obviously the pens are going to be in and out of there quite frequently. So I'm going to take that out, trim my threads, and I'm going to turn it around, and directly on top of that I'm going to place the other part of the inner lining, the smaller one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch all the way down this seam here, and that has got my pen holder sandwiched between it. So go over where I stitched previously. You will notice as well that I've got all my interfacing on here. This is a woven interfacing on this part. The outer lining, sorry, the outer part has got this really stiff interfacing on. I've already pre-fused these. Right, so that is that done. Now what I need to do is just press this seam open. So I've got my little mini crim iron on my table, but obviously you can do it with whatever iron you've got. So I'm just going to give this a little press that seam open, and the elastic can go to either side. Just let it go to which side it wants to. So that's that done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the zip in. So you've got the pocket lining, and we're going to take our interfaced outer. We're going to lay the chunky zipper side down. I'm going to put my zipper foot on. Always easier to do it with a zipper foot if you have one. Put my my needle to the left side of it, and I'm just going to stitch all the way down this, keeping those raw edges even. You could clip or pin if you wanted to. So you can see my zip's a little bit longer than what I need. It's not a problem. I can cut that off. Get the pocket lining and lay that directly over the top, lining up the fabrics at the top and at the sides. If I turn that over, you can see my stitches that I've previously stitched, and I can sew over the top of them. Not very straight either, where the zip is. Right, when you get to where the zip pull is, you can actually just move that out of the way. Leave your needle down, lift your foot and push that away. Don't go right off the end, or you will be rather upset. So stitch along those stitches. Take that out. I have done that many a time where I've gone right over the edge with the zip pull. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push all the lining to the back, and we're going to top stitch. And I'll tell you what you can do just to prevent that happening. You could either put a pin in there, or you can stitch over the top. I'm going to stitch over the top just so that I cannot pull the zip pull out. I'm going to do the same on the other end as well, because I have done this many a time. Just go over the zip, and that will just stop that zip pull coming off. Right, so we're now going to top stitch along the outer fabric. So I'm going to put my needle to the opposite side, about a 1/4 inch seam. Top stitch all the way along. So what you've got then is your zip exposed, and the lining pocket, and then the outer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring this lining up to the zip, line up the sides and the top edges as we did before, and we're going to stitch across there. Move my needle to the other side again. Zipper foots are different. You may have a zipper foot that asks you to take the foot off. It looks like I've just caught my stitches in there, so I've got a fold in it. I should have pressed it flat first, but I will just undo that. Lay that flat. So just do that again, lining it up at the top and stitch all the way across. I thought it was making a small pocket. Make sure you don't stitch into that zipper pull. So there you can see the pocket bag inside there. So now what you need to do is take the piece that we've just sewn the pen holder in, and we're going to lay that on top of that seam we've just stitched. So straight on top of it, That's where the pen holder is. The pocket bag is there. So we're going to stitch directly over these stitches we've just stitched. Lay that down. It helps when you do it this way because you can see the stitches that you sewed before. So now when you take that out, you've got your zipper pocket sandwiched in between. Pull all this lining back and have the zip uppermost. So you could clip that in place actually now, but we're going to put the magnetic clasps on at this point. So the magnetic clasps go onto this side here, I think. Let me just check. I haven't got my pattern piece with me, so I will just open this up. Yep, onto the lining side. So what we need to do is we need to measure, and I haven't got a ruler, so I'm going to do it by eye. But we need to measure 1 inch in, so about 1 inch in from this edge, and then about 1.5 inches down, and do that on both sides. So that's about right. But the reason why we do it so far in and down is so that when we're doing a side stitching as binding, we don't catch that magnetic clasp with the needle. That would not be nice. So I'm just gonna, you can just see I've done a little cross there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open my magnetic clasps. Getting very warm and humid here. I always like to add some fabric glue to these. It doesn't tell you whenever you do see instructions, which you very rarely do see instructions for these. But I just like to add the fabric glue because I think it gives it a little bit more strength. Right, as you can see there, I'm putting the circle over where that cross was. I'm going to get my fabric marker. Oh, there it is. And I'm just going to draw in those little holes there. And I am going to get the scalpel. I'm just going to take that clip off for a second. And I'm just going to cut where those little marks are. So I've just got a little slit in there. I'll do both sides. I'll put the clips back on afterwards. Now, I'll put the top back on that. That was a gift from my friend Sharon. Thank you very much, Sharon. So I've got, this is a Gutermann HT2 textile glue. Any textile glue will do it. I'm just going to place a little dot of glue over where those slits are. And I find that this also helps it from, this is the thick one I need to put on. So on this side I'm putting the thicker one. I find that this helps it to stop the fabric from fraying as well. Although it's got the woven interfacing on, so it's not really a problem. Push those prongs through. Just missing that there. There we go. Put the washer on the back. And then I'm just going to add another little dot of fabric glue into the middle and close those prongs in on top of it. So there you can see, and do that on both sides. With the thicker part of the, where's it gone? Amazing. Oh, was the only one in there? Maybe there was only one in there. I'll catch up with that one later. So we'll do the other one later. Might have been for another kit, that one. But that's how you put the prongs on. So the other side of it actually goes onto this side and 1.5 inch down and 1 inch from that edge. So I will quickly put this one on. So again, just mark that spot at both sides. I will quickly go and get another. I'll just use this for now. Another magnetic clasp just so I can finish it. You'll find that because these have got interfacing in, you don't need to add a separate piece of fabric. If you're doing it onto just one layer of fabric, I would always add interfacing or another layer of fabric just to give it that little bit of extra stability. So I'll put my glue on. There we go. And this time we're using the thinner piece. And that's going to go onto the right side of the piece. Oh, did that one go through? Put another blob of glue on the back. Put the washer on top of those prongs and then close those prongs inwards. That's my preference for doing it. You do it however you've been shown. I'm just going to see if I can pinch another magnetic clasp from one of the other kits I've got to do. Maybe not, so I'm going to pinch it from her. Different colour, but I don't think our Abigail will mind. She's a sweet little girl. So again, just push those prongs through. She'll probably like it because it's different anyway. Put a blob of glue on the back. Put that washer on and close those up. You could use a screwdriver or something if you find it hurts your hands. So then we've got our, oops, nearly dropped it. Our 2 magnetic clasps on there, and that's the closures finished. Have I done that one? Yeah. So we can bring our pieces back together. Another blob of glue. The thing is, you think about how many times these are going to get opened and closed. You don't want them to lose the magnetic clasps. There we go. So it's just worth adding that bit of glue. Right, so now you can see I'll put that flap back down. Hold the zip so that the teeth are uppermost and pop that clip back on. Same on the other side, pop that clip back on. Right, so now you can see we've got the beginnings of our case. The next thing I want to do is the pocket that holds the notebook. So I've got mine here. Have I? Should be 2, yeah. So these 2 pieces are going to form the pocket. And well, basically all we're going to do is stitch around 3 sides. So I'm just going to take my zipper foot off, put my normal foot on, needle in the middle, and stitch around 3 sides, making sure they're all going to be the right way. Back tack at the beginning, so you see there I've left that bottom edge open. I'm going to clip the corners to make it lie nice and flat, and poke these, push these through to the right side and poke those corners out. Give it a quick press, and then we're just going to top stitch around. Give it a nice press, and that is our pocket done. Right, what I want to do is, I like the top stitch looks where it gives 2 rows of stitching. So I'm going to go around the about 1/4 of an inch on the inside of this piece here. And that then, when I top stitch it in place onto the notebook, actually that's the wrong side because I want it, that's it, that side. So about 1/4 of an inch on the inside, raise the stitch length. Stop about 1/4 of an inch from the end, needle in, turn, exactly the same on the next side, and then down to the bottom. Right, so when we stitch this onto the case, we can stitch right on that edge and it's going to give it a double seamed look, but we're not going to stitch the top because obviously we need to put our notebook in. So I'm going to do that separately now, just across that top part, right on the very edge. So now you can see we've got that double row of top stitching on the edge and just one row down the side, but I'm going to top stitch this in place. So I'll just move my iron out of the way a little bit, put my pieces there. So this is going on the inside. So we've got the pen loop there. I want to place it about 1 inch to the side of the pen loop, lining the bottoms up. So you can pin that in place, but I'm just gonna, in fact I'll be good, I'll put a pin in. And now I'm going to stitch down both sides to hold that in place. So open it up because we're not stitching through all layers, just the back piece, the lining piece. Now I can stitch along the bottom because it's just going to be caught in the binding, but to save me breaking thread I'll stitch across the bottom. Stop when you get right to the very edge. Rotate and sew up that side. Back tack at the top. I'll take that pin out so I don't find it in my hand later. And then when I put that down now, you can see we've got the pen holder here and we've got our slip pocket to put our notebook in there. So now all we need to do now is do the card slots at this end because we've got our zipper compartment there. So onto this piece here, this is going to all concertina up to make our pieces. So this is going to be the end part, so I can leave that aside. I'm just going to give this a quick press. These are the pieces for the card slots. And this is the one that goes in between. So what I need to do is I need to add, and I'm just going to take a quick look just to make sure I'm on the same wavelength. Yeah, they need to go to the other side. So I'm going to turn this over, and this is the piece we're adding the card slots to. So first of all, I'm going to take one of these contrast pieces, and there is 2 of those. So this is the, let's measure it and tell you what this is. I haven't got a tape measure here. Yes, I have. Oh, I'm better organised than I thought. So this measures 5.5 by 8.5. I know what that is. And there's 2 of those. So we're taking one of those pieces first. We're laying it on the end here, and we're just going to stitch that to the outer fabric. And because we did those, put my stitch length back down. Because we did those magnetic clasps so far away, I know that we're going to be fine. We're not going to hit them. Stitch all the way across, open that up, lay it down, take one of the contrast pieces, which is disappeared, there it is, the one I just pressed. That's the 3.5 by 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to lay that on the end of the 5 by 5 one. If you've got the instructions, it will all make sense to you. Back tack at the beginning. Stitch all the way down. Open that one out so you can see it's getting quite a long piece of fabric now and add the other 5 by 5 by 8.5 to the end of that one. Right, so you can see how long this is now getting. I will show you all the way across. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add this last piece, making sure it's the same orientation as the other one if it's a directional fabric. Lay this to the end of that one. I quite like designing things like this that all concertina up. So when I open that up, we've got this really long piece. Now what I want to do is on the back, I want to press all these fabrics into the middle seam there and this one up to that one as well. So I will just tell you in the instructions. Place it on my ironing board and just give it a quick press. You would press as you went along, but I'm trying to do this so you can not be bored. Right, there we go. So now what I need to do is this part here where it's first joined on, press that flat, and that's going to be the first part of the card slot. So I'm just turning all that interface into the wrong side, and I'm going to top stitch along this seam here. So you can see on the inside we've got all those together. I'm going to top stitch along there where those magnetic clasps are. Just on the very edge. You won't hit the magnetic clasp if we left enough space. So that's that one. Next we're going to take this 3.5 piece and we're going to fold it in half so these two seams meet. So just line those up. You can put a pin of some such into there or a clip. Same at the other side. Line those up. Give it a press just to hold it all in place. It'll be a bit easier to do that way. Go. So just press that one in half and I'm going to top stitch along this edge. That is the second card slot. So I'm probably stitching about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. You can just see right on this very edge here, that's top stitched. So if I start to lay this down, you can see it's starting to take shape. So we've got the zip compartment here, the notebook holder there. Just take that pin out, turn it over. This piece that we've just top stitched, you want to place it so there's about 1/2 inch between that first one and that second one. So you can see we're just folding that up, placing it so there's about 1/2 inch between those two card slots there. I'm just going to pop a pin, a clip onto that one and onto that side there. And we're going to fold this side up. Actually, if I move my iron out of the way, I might be able to just get it so you can see. Hold it from the zip, let it all fall down. You want it to be level, and we're going to put this end here level with the other end from the opposite side, the lining side. So if I pop some clips on there, I can actually show you what I'm doing. These are a bit big clips. So you've got all this loose fabric here. I want that to fall behind here. Bring it up and just form a pocket so you've got that other half an inch there, and both these edges are level, if that makes sense. So if I lay this down flat, now you can't see, can you? Try and do it so you can see it like this. If I lay this down flat, you can see this, we've got those first two that we did. This is all the loose. I'm just folding it under so that that seam will come out half an inch above the other one, like so. So you, and then you top stitch along that one, and then you will just fold it all flat on the base then. So I'll just top stitch that. That will hold it all in place then. Now you can see I've used the fabrics one way and then the opposite way. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. That's not a problem at all. But when I lift up these ends that are level, that will all fall behind that other one. I can actually put that clip on them all now. So just pop that onto them all. Clip that back on. Bring up the ends and lay it all flat. And now you can see we've got the zip part there. These are all level here, and that's what we just concertinaed up. That will fold flat, and we're going to stitch all the way down those sides to hold all those pieces in place. Before we do that, if you want to have two sides for your card slots, now's the time to just stitch from, well, mark the middle and stitch to about an inch below the first card slot. So let's put a mark at the centre. About there. I'm just guessing me. I know I should actually do it. But I'll just put a mark at the centre here, and I'm just going to stitch down to about, well, probably level with those magnetic clasps. That might be easier to explain. So I'm just going to stitch. Actually, a bit more in the middle there. Yeah. Back tack. So stitch through just above those magnetic clasps. Take that out. Now this is the end, so you're going to lay it all down flat. Make sure that pocket is laying nice and flat, and we're going to clip these, what we've just stitched, all together. Take the clip off and clip the back to it. So now you've just got one piece, and we're going to stitch all the way down that edge. In fact, I'm going to do it from this side because I've got that magnetic clasp there. I just want to make sure it's staying where it should be. So stitch those layers all together, and don't worry if you've got a little bit out of place like this here. You can just see this edge here. We're going to trim that off. So stitch just inside where all those pieces come together. It's getting caught on my magnetic clasp. Stitch all the way down. Move the zip to the middle. That's it, stitch right up to the top. Right, so you can see now we've just caught all those bits in. We're going to trim this all level and repeat on the other side. Take the bits out now. And then we just need to bind the edges and it's finished. Just make sure they're all lying nice and flat. So there's quite a few layers, but it's not a problem to go through, as you can see. Put the big clips off the end. Now, if you want to miter it into a square, you can do, or you could round the corners off. This is where you can actually personalise the projects for yourself. I think I might do a curved one on this one. I've not done one yet. mind you, saying that you'd have to have bias binding to do a curve, so no, I'm going to do it straight. Right, so I'll show you how it all goes together. Just make sure it's all nice and flat. We're going to put this side with the card slots over the front. Just give that a crease. It will get its own memory eventually. And then the other side we're going to fold over and put those. Oh, that's a bit out, isn't it? Put those pieces together. So that's what it's going to look like when it's all folded up. But I just need to level this off and then do the binding. I'll do one side of the binding so you can see how it's done, when I'm not taking up too much of your time. I'll just get my scissors. So I'm just going to trim, take those out. All down one edge, trimming it all nice and level. You could use a rotary cutter and a ruler. There we go. Trim that off. And the binding I'm using is the character one. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold over about, well, in fact I'm going to trim off the selvage so it doesn't look raggy. And I'm going to fold over about 1 centimetre, and I'm going to fold that wrong sides together so you can see we've got the right side out, and that's a nice neat top. We're going to place that, we're going to unstitch this in place. So I'm going to place it about 1 centimetre above where the zip is. You can just see 1 centimetre above. And I'm going to start stitching about 1/4 inch all the way down. So I'm going to go over the zip. Again, I like to use a stiletto just to keep everything in place. Gone past where the magnetic clasp is. If you needed to, you could put your zipper foot on. I don't find it's a problem. I'm going to stitch right to the end, and I'll do a corner. So you can see how the corners are done. So I'm going to hold my binding onto the fabric, and I'm going to stop about 1/4 inch from the corner. So just stop with your needle down. I'm going to turn my work to the corner and run off directly on the corner. So if I show you that, you can see I've sewn up to that corner there and then gone off at an angle. And all we need to do is put the binding directly up, hold the edges together, bring it down, straight down, so that it's on top of itself, and then pull it to the side so it follows the line of that stitching. And you can see, following that line that I stitched off, it's making it into a mitre there. You bring this side back on top, but bring it level with the top part there, and that will form a mitre. So you start stitching now directly onto this corner. Might better if I turn it around. So you start stitching onto that corner there, and then when you've stitched it and you lift it up, you've actually got this piece that you're going to push out. So what I will do is put it back down, I will stitch that and then show you what will happen when you've sewn it. Once you've done a couple of mitered corners, you'll be absolutely fine. So I'll just stitch it off to the other corner. and then I can show you again. So stop stitching 1/4 inch away from the corner, pivot your work round and sew off at that angle. Take it out. So we've got that angle there. We're going to put the work ends together, bring it back down on top of where we've just stitched, so it's directly on top. Bring the work so it follows that row of stitching, so you can see now you've got that diagonal. Bring it back down and level with this work at the side and stitch down again. Yep. When you open this up, then you just pull the sides out, push the work to the back, lay one side down and bring the other side over. Sorry, hand stitch that in place and you've got a lovely mitered corner. I'll just show you again. Couldn't see if you could see it. So you're going to bring this side over, having that side flat like that, and then bring this, put your finger in and push that against your finger, and you bring that side in and you just stitch that in place. You've got a lovely mitered corner. And then that will be your project all finished. I'll show you the finished one. So you just tuck that end in when you come to top stitching, fold the other side over the way you've just stitched and hand stitch in place. When you get to the corners, it will look like that on the one side. I'll just show you. And then on the inside, you can see you've got your lovely mitered corners. And that is your retreat notebook. Thank you for watching. Bye.